Hello, my dear friend. I'm happy you're here tonight. Before we begin, take one slow breath. There is no need to rush. No need to solve every problem before the day ends. For the next little while, simply listen. Perhaps one sentence will stay with you. Perhaps only one quiet thought will remain in your heart. And that is more than enough. Tonight, I want to talk about desire. Not because desire is bad, but because it is so deeply human. Every one of us wants something. A little more money, a little more time, a little more love, a little more certainty about the future. There is nothing wrong with wanting a better life. Without desire, we might never grow, we might never learn, we might never dream. But sometimes desire quietly changes its shape. At first, we hold it in our hands. Later, it begins to hold us. We believe that happiness is waiting just beyond the next achievement. We tell ourselves, when I get that new job, I'll finally relax. When I earn a little more money, I'll feel secure. When people recognize my efforts, I'll finally feel confident. The problem is not the dream itself. The problem is that the finish line keeps moving. Every time we arrive, it quietly steps a little farther away. Without realizing it, we spend our whole lives chasing a horizon that cannot be reached. Have you ever noticed what happens when you buy something you've wanted for a long time? For a few days, it feels exciting. You smile every time you look at it. Then, slowly, the excitement becomes ordinary. Soon your eyes begin searching for the next thing. Our minds are very good at turning miracles into normal days. The first sunrise we truly watched was unforgettable. Yet after seeing thousands of sunrises, we rarely stop to look. The first cup of coffee in the morning once felt special. Now we drink it while thinking about tomorrow. This is simply how the human mind works. It quickly becomes used to what it already has. Perhaps this is why gratitude is so powerful. Gratitude gently slows the mind down. It whispers, "Look again. Notice what has been here all along." The warm blanket around your shoulders, the quiet sound of rain outside, someone who asked if you were okay. The ability to breathe without thinking about it. These are small things, but life has always been made of small things. Sometimes we imagine happiness as a mountain waiting for us in the distance. We think one day we will finally arrive. But perhaps happiness is not a mountain. Perhaps it is the path beneath our feet. If we only look far away, we miss the flowers growing beside us. Nature never seems to hurry. The trees do not bloom all at once. The river never asks why it has not reached the ocean yet. The moon never apologizes for becoming smaller before it becomes full again. Everything follows its own rhythm. Only humans seem to believe they must always become more than they already are. The more we chase happiness, the more it seems to run away. It is a strange paradox. When we desperately try to hold on to something, we often become afraid of losing it. And that fear quietly steals the joy we were hoping to protect. Think about a handful of sand. If you hold it gently, most of it remains in your hand. But if you squeeze it tightly, the sand slips through your fingers. Life is often like that. Love is like that. Even peace is like that. The harder we try to control everything, the less peaceful we become. Perhaps freedom is not found in having more control. Perhaps it begins when we accept that some things were never ours to control. The weather changes without asking us. People change without asking for permission. Time continues moving, whether we are ready or not. For many years, people have searched for ways to make life completely certain. But certainty has always been an illusion. Tomorrow has never promised anyone anything. And strangely, that is what makes today so valuable. If everything lasted forever, would we still appreciate it? A sunset is beautiful because it disappears. Cherry blossoms become unforgettable because they bloom for only a short time. Even childhood feels precious because it does not stay. Impermanence is not only something to fear. It is also the reason beauty exists. Many people believe they are waiting for the right moment to begin living, after they become successful, after they save enough money, after life becomes easier. But life has a quiet habit. It keeps happening while we are making other plans. One ordinary afternoon may become a memory we treasure years from now. A simple conversation, a walk beneath the evening sky, a cup of tea shared with someone we love. At the time, they seem too ordinary to notice. Only later do we realize those quiet moments were the real treasures. Perhaps an ordinary day is not ordinary at all. Perhaps it only looks ordinary because we are living inside it. Imagine reading your favorite book. Would you skip every page just to reach the ending? Of course not. The beauty of a book is found in every page, not only the last one. Life may be the same. We spend so much energy asking where we are going that we forget to experience where we already are. Sometimes, doing less allows us to see more. A slower walk reveals flowers we would otherwise miss. A quiet morning lets us hear birds we have ignored for years. Silence often teaches lessons that noise never can. There is a reason forests feel peaceful. Trees do not compete with one another. An old oak tree does not compare itself to a young pine. Each one simply grows according to its own nature. Humans are different. We compare our lives with people we barely know. We compare our beginning with someone else's middle. We compare today's reality with carefully edited moments on a screen. Comparison creates endless hunger. There will always be someone richer, someone smarter, someone more talented, someone more admired. If happiness depends on becoming the very best, most of us will never feel at peace. But if happiness depends on appreciating this moment, then peace is already within reach. A wise teacher once said, "When you drink tea, drink tea." It sounds almost too simple, yet most of us never truly drink tea. We drink while checking our phones, while worrying about tomorrow, while replaying yesterday. Our bodies remain here, but our minds travel everywhere else. Perhaps peace is nothing more mysterious than returning to where our body already is. Here, this breath, this heartbeat, this quiet moment. There is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to become. Just for this moment, allow yourself to rest. Perhaps this is why letting go feels so difficult. We often believe that holding on makes us stronger, holding on to our possessions, holding on to our plans, holding on to our expectations, holding on to people, holding on to the image of who we think we should become. We hold on because we are afraid that if we let go, we will lose something important. But life has a quiet way of teaching us something different. Sometimes what we call losing is actually making space. Imagine walking through a forest while carrying a heavy suitcase. At first, it doesn't seem like a problem. You are strong enough to carry it. You keep walking, but after an hour, your shoulders begin to ache. After another hour, even the beautiful trees become difficult to notice. Your eyes are no longer looking at the forest. They are only looking for a place to put the suitcase down. Many of us live like this. Not with a suitcase in our hands, but with invisible weight inside our hearts. Old regrets, unspoken words, the need to be understood by everyone, the fear of disappointing people, the pressure to become successful as quickly as possible. None of these things can be seen. Yet they can become heavier than anything we carry with our hands. Perhaps the greatest freedom is not found in adding more to our lives. Perhaps it is found in carrying less. Nature reminds us of this every year. In autumn, the trees quietly let go of their leaves. They do not fight against the season. They do not cling to every leaf and refuse to let it fall. They simply trust that letting go is part of living. If the trees refused to let go, new leaves would never appear in spring. Sometimes we also need an autumn in our own lives, a season for releasing, a season for making room. Not because something is wrong, but because nothing new can enter a heart that is already full. We often think that freedom comes from having more choices, more money, more opportunities, more possessions. But there is another kind of freedom. The freedom of needing less. When you need less, you worry less. When you worry less, your mind becomes quieter. And in that quietness, you begin to notice things that were always there. The warmth of sunlight on your face, the sound of leaves moving in the wind, the comfort of your own breathing. These things have no price, yet they have always been available. There is an old saying that wealth is not measured by how much we own. It is measured by how little we need. Someone with only a few possessions can sleep peacefully. Someone with everything can still spend every night worrying about losing it. Perhaps true security has never come from ownership. Perhaps it comes from knowing that even if life changes, you will still be able to find peace within yourself. Nothing in this world stays forever. The seasons change, the sky changes, Our bodies change. Even our thoughts change. When we understand this, letting go no longer feels like failure. It becomes another way of trusting life. Maybe today, there is one small thing you can gently place down. Not because someone told you to, not because you have to, but because your heart deserves a little more room to breathe. And perhaps in that newly opened space, peace has been waiting for you all along. When we begin to carry less, something unexpected happens. We start to notice that the most meaningful parts of life have never been things we could own. No one can buy a childhood memory. No one can keep a sunset forever. No one can place laughter inside a box and save it for another day. The moments that shape us are often the moments that leave nothing in our hands, but everything in our hearts. Perhaps that is why experiences stay with us long after possessions lose their shine. Think about your happiest memories. Maybe it was a trip you took years ago. Maybe it was a quiet evening with someone you love. Maybe it was a conversation that changed the way you see the world. When you remember those moments, you probably don't remember what you were wearing. You don't remember how much money you had. You don't remember whether your home was bigger or smaller. What you remember is how you felt. Because feelings become memories, and memories quietly become part of who we are. There is something beautiful about this. The most valuable things in life cannot be placed on a shelf. They cannot be locked away. They cannot be stolen. No one can take away the joy of watching the ocean for the first time. No one can erase the kindness someone once showed you. No one can remove the lessons you learned through love, through failure, or through hope. These become treasures that travel with you wherever you go. Perhaps this is why some people, who seem to have very little, still appear deeply content. They have collected moments instead of possessions, stories instead of trophies, memories instead of comparisons. Some of the happiest people are not those who own the most. They are the ones who have learned to pay attention. They notice the smell of fresh rain. They notice the way morning light enters a quiet room. They notice a child's laughter or the peaceful silence after a long day. These moments pass quickly, yet somehow they leave a lasting mark on the heart. Modern life often tells us to collect more clothes, more devices, more achievements, more reasons to believe we have become successful. But there is another way to measure a life. Not by asking, what did I own? But by asking, what did I experience? Whom did I love? What beauty did I notice? What kindness did I share years from now? It is unlikely that you will remember the day you bought another ordinary object. But you may remember a walk beneath autumn leaves, a cup of tea on a rainy afternoon, a smile from a stranger when you needed it most, or the quiet evening when you finally forgave yourself. Life is generous in this way. It offers beautiful moments every single day. The difficulty is not that they are rare, The difficulty is that we are often too busy to see them. Perhaps happiness has never been hiding from us. Perhaps it has been waiting patiently inside ordinary moments, hoping that one day we would slow down enough to notice. When we begin to value experiences more than possessions, time itself begins to feel different. We stop rushing from one goal to the next. We become curious instead of impatient. We learn to be fully present, even during simple moments that once seemed unimportant. And maybe, at the end of life, we will not count the number of things we owned. Perhaps we will quietly remember the people we loved, the places that changed us, the sunsets we stopped to watch, and the moments when our hearts felt completely alive. If that is true, then perhaps the richest life has never been the one with the most possessions. Perhaps it has always been the one filled with the most meaningful moments. If meaningful moments are the true treasures of life, then perhaps time is the greatest treasure of all. Unlike money, time cannot be saved in a bank. Unlike possessions, it cannot be bought back once it is gone. Every morning, each of us receives the same gift. A new day, 24 quiet hours. How we spend those hours slowly becomes our life. Life is not made only of the big decisions we remember. It is also shaped by the ordinary moments we hardly notice. A conversation at breakfast, a walk home in the evening, the few minutes before falling asleep. These small pieces of time seem insignificant on their own. Yet together, they become the story of who we are. Sometimes we imagine that life will begin later. After we become more successful, after we earn more money, after we finally feel ready. But life has never waited for the perfect moment. It has always been happening quietly while we were preparing for it. One day, without realizing it, the years have passed. We look back and wonder where they went. Perhaps they disappeared into busy mornings, unfinished conversations, and days that felt too ordinary to remember. There is an old saying that we should spend our time as carefully as we spend our money. But perhaps time deserves even more care. Money can return. Lost opportunities can sometimes return. Even broken relationships can heal. But no one has ever been given yesterday again. This may sound a little sad at first, but perhaps it is also deeply comforting because it reminds us that today matters, not because today is extraordinary, but because today is real. This breath is real. This moment is real. The people around you are real, and that is enough. When we understand that time is limited, we stop asking, "How can I fit more into my day?" Instead, we begin asking a quieter question: what is truly worth my time? Not everything deserves our attention. Not every argument deserves our energy. Not every opinion deserves a place in our hearts. Sometimes protecting your peace is simply choosing not to carry what was never yours. There is a quiet wisdom in saying no. No to endless comparison. No to unnecessary worries. No to living someone else's version of success. Every time we say no to something unimportant, we quietly say yes to something that truly matters. Yes to rest. Yes to family. Yes to kindness. Yes to a peaceful evening. Yes to simply watching the clouds drift across the sky. Perhaps a meaningful life is not built by doing more and more. Perhaps it is built by choosing carefully what deserves a place in our limited time. When we reach the end of a day, we rarely wish we had answered one more email. We rarely wish we had spent another hour worrying. Instead, we miss the moments we failed to notice. The smile we were too distracted to return. The sunset we hurried past. The laughter we thought would happen again someday. Life often whispers before it disappears. That is why slowing down matters. Not because the world becomes slower, but because our hearts finally have time to catch up with our lives. Maybe tonight, before you fall asleep, you don't need to ask whether today was productive enough. Perhaps a better question is this: did I truly live today? Did I notice something beautiful? Did I offer kindness to someone? Did I smile? Did I breathe deeply, even if only for a moment? If the answer is yes, then perhaps today was richer than you realize. Because in the end, a meaningful life is not measured by how much time we were given. It is measured by how deeply we were present for the time we had. Perhaps this is why so many people think about regret. Not because they made mistakes, but because they realize that time moves quietly. It never asks us if we are ready. It simply keeps flowing, like a river finding its way to the sea. Many of us are afraid of making the wrong choice. We spend days, sometimes even years, trying to make the perfect decision. We wait until we feel completely certain, completely prepared, completely fearless. But life rarely gives us that feeling. There will almost always be uncertainty. There will almost always be questions without answers. Perhaps courage has never meant the absence of fear. Perhaps courage simply means taking one gentle step, even while fear walks beside us. When people grow older, they often remember the moments they did not choose, the words they never spoke, the dreams they quietly abandoned, the places they always wanted to visit, the phone call they planned to make tomorrow. Tomorrow feels very close. Until one day it isn't. This does not mean we should live in fear. It means we should not postpone the life that already belongs to us. There is a beautiful difference between waiting with patience and waiting because of fear. Patience allows a flower to bloom in its own season. Fear keeps the seed hidden in the ground forever. Only one of them creates life. Sometimes we imagine that one perfect moment will suddenly change everything, but life rarely changes in dramatic ways. It changes quietly: a new habit, a different perspective, a kind conversation, a small decision repeated every day. Looking back, these tiny moments often become the turning points of our lives. It is easy to believe that ordinary days do not matter. After all, they seem so similar to one another. But a meaningful life is simply many ordinary days lived with attention. No musician creates a beautiful song with only one perfect note. No artist paints a masterpiece with only one brushstroke. In the same way, a meaningful life is painted one ordinary day at a time. Perhaps we have been searching for extraordinary moments, while life has been quietly offering us ordinary miracles. A warm meal after a long day, a familiar voice, the smell of fresh bread, the feeling of sunlight through a window, a peaceful silence that asks nothing from us. These moments never announce themselves. They arrive softly, and they leave just as quietly. Maybe wisdom is learning to recognize them before they become memories. There is another kind of regret that many people carry, the regret of trying to become someone else. For years, they shape themselves to fit other people's expectations. They choose careers they never wanted. They hide parts of themselves. They say yes when their hearts quietly whisper no. Little by little, they begin to lose the sound of their own voice. Perhaps one of life's greatest challenges is not becoming successful. It is becoming yourself. The world will always have opinions. Someone will think you are too quiet. Someone else will think you talk too much. Some will say you dream too big. Others will say you are not ambitious enough. If you spend your life trying to satisfy every voice around you, your own voice will slowly disappear beneath the noise. There is a quiet peace that comes from accepting that not everyone needs to understand your path. The trees never ask for applause. The stars never compete for attention. The ocean never tries to prove its worth. They simply exist. Perhaps we were never meant to spend our lives proving that we are enough. Perhaps we have always been enough, simply by being alive, by loving, by learning, by growing, and by sharing this brief and beautiful journey together. Maybe living without regret does not mean making perfect choices. Maybe it means being fully present for the choices we do make. It means loving wholeheartedly, even though love makes us vulnerable. It means beginning even when success is uncertain. It means forgiving even when pride tells us not to. And it means remembering again and again that this ordinary day may someday become one of the days we miss the most. So before this day quietly comes to an end, look around for just a moment. Listen to the gentle sounds that surround you. Feel your breathing. Notice the simple gift of being here. You do not need this moment to be perfect. You only need to be present enough to receive it. Perhaps that is enough for tonight. Not because there is nothing more to learn, but because wisdom does not grow all at once. Just as a tree grows one ring at a time, our hearts also grow quietly, through ordinary days, through simple moments, and through thoughts that stay with us long after the day has ended. Maybe tonight you do not need to remember everything you have heard. Perhaps only one idea will remain, one sentence, one feeling, one quiet realization And sometimes that is more than enough to change the way we see tomorrow. As you continue your own journey, there will still be days when you feel uncertain. Days when you compare yourself to others. Days when you worry that you are falling behind. When those days come, I hope you remember something gentle. Life has never asked you to become someone else. It has only asked you to become more fully yourself, slowly, patiently, one day at a time. There will always be more things to own, more goals to chase, more reasons to hurry. But there will never be another today. There will never be another version of this quiet evening, or this breath, or this moment. Perhaps the greatest gift we can give ourselves is not a life filled with more, but a heart that is able to appreciate enough peace, enough gratitude, enough love. Enough wonder for the ordinary moments that quietly become extraordinary when we truly notice them. So tonight, before you close your eyes, allow yourself to let go of just one thing, perhaps one unnecessary worry, one expectation, one regret, or simply the feeling that you have to carry the whole world by yourself. Take a slow breath and another. Feel the air gently entering your lungs and slowly leaving again. There is nothing you need to fix right now. Nothing you need to prove. For this moment, you are simply here, and that is enough. Outside, the night continues quietly. The stars shine without making a sound. The trees move gently with the wind. The world does not rush. Perhaps we do not need to rush either. Tomorrow will come in its own time, just as the morning always does. When it arrives, you can welcome it with a rested heart, one quiet step at a time. Thank you for sharing this peaceful moment with me. I hope these thoughts stay with you, not as answers, but as gentle companions whenever life feels a little too heavy. Take good care of yourself. Be patient with your heart. And remember, sometimes the richest life is simply the one that is fully lived. Have a peaceful night. Sleep well. And I'll be here again whenever you need a quiet place to slow down. Good night.